Max Verstappen took his second win of the season in a wild Australian Grand Prix, which was red flagged 3 times. Let's see how I rated all the drivers' weekends once we eventually reach the checkered flag. We're starting with the race winner, it's Max Verstappen. He gets a rating of 4. He fought back from losing the lead at the start to George Russell and then also being passed by Lewis Hamilton, but once he returned to the lead, he was untroubled despite one little adventure at turn 13 and eventually crossed the line under the safety car to clinch his second win of the year and his first in Australia. Next is Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, also gets a 4. An excellent drive. It was a really good lap 1 move on Verstappen to put himself in position for a solid result. He held Alonso out of DRS zone and generally did the job you'd expect of a 7-time world champion. Nico Hulkenberg is next and he also gets a rating of 4. It was a superb weekend for the Hulk. Another Q3 appearance and some good points with P7 at the checkered flag. A really good weekend from the German. George Russell is next and he gets a 3.5. His qualifying lap was superb to get him onto the front row. He nailed the start in taking the lead, but was unfortunate with the timing of the red flag and then a power unit failure. Pierre Gasly is next. He also gets a 3.5. He drove superbly, holding off Carlos Sainz for quite a while, and then he stuck out with the Ferrari in the closing stages before that late collision with Ocon ruined all hopes of points for Alpine. Lando Norris for McLaren is up next. He also gets a 3.5. It's a classic Lando drive for me. He made the most and maybe even more of what that car is capable of. Fernando Alonso's next, 3.5 for him as well. Not as quick as in the first 2 rounds. Kind of fortunate to get the podium position back, but that's what Alonso does. Once he's got the car, he puts it where it should be, and he did exactly that. Hometown hero Oscar Piastri gets a 3. It was a very tidy drive to bring himself from 16th to 8th for his maiden Formula One points. Next is Lance Stroll, who also gets a 3. Restart error aside, it was another really good weekend from Lance Stroll. Also getting a 3 is Yuki Tsunoda. Impressive in qualifying, and he nipped a point for his efforts in the race. Williams' Alex Albon comes next with a 3. Outstanding in qualifying, but it was all for naught with the accident on lap 7. Sergio Perez is next and he gets a 2.5. I think he should have finished higher considering his car performance, but when you start from the back, you give yourself a lot of work to do. Next is Carlos Sainz for Ferrari, a 2.5 for the Spaniard. He recovered from the untimely red flag which left him 11th, and he was dealt a really harsh time penalty that undid all of that good work. Several very good overtakes, notably the one on Pierre Gasly. Alfa Romeo's Zhou Guanyu is next. He gets a 2.5. He bagged P9 after Carlos Sainz's penalty, which is a good reward for outperforming Bottas in qualifying. Alpine's Esteban Ocon gets a 2. He missed out on Q3, which left him some work to do in the race, and he was doing okay, but then he was involved in that restart crash with his teammate. Nick De Vries also gets a 2. He's still getting acquainted to that AlphaTauri car, and I think there might have been some damage from his tangle on the first restart. Things do need to improve pretty quickly. Charles Leclerc gets a 1.5. It was a terrible weekend from the Monegasque. He said he should have driven better on Saturday, and that could have helped the start situation, but his race ended on lap 1. Valtteri Bottas in Alfa Romeo gets a 1.5 as well. Quali, awful. Race, little better. Kevin Magnussen also gets a 1.5 because I think that error where he hit the wall and lost his tyre was a really poor misjudgment. And finally, Logan Sargeant gets a 1.5. It was a really messy weekend from the American. Not good at all. So they're my driver ratings. Let me know what you think in the comments. You can see the drivers average table top 10 now. And here's the bottom half. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe for more Grand Prix content, and thanks very much for watching.